All right, Razor. WrestleMania 41. We had a lot of new champions, world champs, intercontinental champs, tag champs. I think in the next calendar year, we're going to have a lot of new tag champs, world champs, intercontinental champs, U.S. champs. So I think we should name all the people that'll defeat our current champions from Raw and SmackDown. And I think we should start with John Cena himself.
The WWE champion himself, huh? I think this is kind of obvious answer. I think me and you both probably agree on this. I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes.
It makes the most sense to be Cody
Rhodes. It makes
most
sense to be Cody Rhodes. Unless you're trying to push someone else, but the only person I could see that they're trying to push is Braun Breaker, but I don't see Braun Breaker leaving that faction yet, right? It makes no sense to just break him off this quickly when you just introduce this new faction. Evolution 2.0, I guess they're trying to say.
Revolution. But I do think that Cody Rhodes makes the most sense, just because if you're going to go from John Cena to the next, you're passing on the torch, I guess, or you're passing on to the next person. Cody Rhodes makes the most sense to pass it on to.
Yeah.
And he is the next babyface from John Cena being the OG. Sorry, not the OG, the last big babyface. Cody Rhodes makes sense as the new big babyface. So it kind of ties the story together, right? Cody Rhodes climbing back up into becoming champ again.
Yeah.
And that's probably what the story is going to be for the next few months. And John Cena being this like menacing champ, and I think Cody Rhodes obviously winning it back makes a lot of sense. On the women's side of the WWE Championship, we have Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time. I don't know who will beat her.
You know who I think it should be?
Who?
I think it should be Chelsea Green.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. I had to agree with that. Chelsea Green, big champ. Because Tiffany Stratton, I think that she's like a twinner right now, right? She's like a good face and a heel. And Chelsea Green's obviously booked as a heel.
Yeah.
But it would be a solid person to beat her. Because last year at Money in the Bank, she's the one who pushed Chelsea Green off the ladder.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense to get revenge if you're Chelsea Green and by beating her. Maybe Chelsea Green's with Money in the Bank this year, like she was supposed to last year.
You know what? And the person that I think we've said enough. I think me and you both are high on Chelsea Green, but she's the person that even with the small screen time she gets, she's always the best.
100%.
And now that she has her own crew, that just makes sense to have her have the title.
Yeah, and I think she established the U.S. championship already as as a title that's valuable in some way because it was showcased a lot through her. So I think her getting that next step and getting rewarded with a WWE title run makes the most sense.
100%.
Because the top women's wrestler, it makes a lot of sense. I think you convinced me. All right, your boy Jacob Fatu, the U.S. champ. I don't think he's gonna lose his belt for a while. I don't think he should, but I do think I know who would beat him. I feel like Solo Sikoa is gonna end up beating him in some dirty way. He beats him or something like that, and then maybe Jacob Fatu wins it back.
Maybe that's the only other person I could think of. Maybe Mello.
That's what I was about to say. Carmelo Hayes.
Maybe Carmelo Hayes. But other than that, those two are the only two guys that come to my mind.
I think Carmelo Hayes beating him would be huge for Carmelo Hayes.
100%.
And that would be because Jacob Fatu is such a monster. Like him, him not being in the title picture is just because there's so many other people who are in it. Like John Cena's in the title picture. You're not gonna put Jacob Fatu in there because you want to make Jacob Fatu look strong, right? And at this point, John Cena would beat Jacob Fatu if they had a match.
100%.
Based on the way they're booking everything. So I think Jacob Fatu being U.S. champ for a while, and then Carmelo Hayes beating him right before WWE makes him main eventer, like a main event champ, it makes the most sense to me.
The other person I was thinking is because the only reason why I only thought about this is because we're going to talk about the women's U.S. champ is Andrade. Because you told me, I didn't watch it, but you told me Zelina Vega was also Andrade's manager. So, them having both the titles, that would be a good duo to push.
Maybe even Aleister Black. He just came in. But I'm gonna say right now, I think I suggested Solo Sikoa, but I feel like Melo makes the most sense.
Yes,
just a young guy.
100%.
But Aleister Black's another guy who they could build up because Triple H loves a guy like that who came up in NXT. But yeah, I'll say Melo is the guy.
Same here. I agree with Melo.
There's a few people who I think will beat Zelina Vega for a title. I think this title, the U.S. title, needs a little bit more of a elevation. It needs to be pushed up a bit because no offense to Zelina Vega, I think she's like a solid mid card, but I think there's bigger names in the mid card that you could get the title to, like Jade Cargill is somebody that WWE's trying to build, and I don't think she's gonna get. Maybe she does get a WWE title shot at some point, right? Because she's already considered that. And another person, like a veteran too. I was about to say Alexa Bliss. I just thought about her.
Oh, Alexa Bliss. That wouldn't be bad. Wyatt Six coming back, and she's supposed to be the leader.
Yeah, and I think
might as well build them out as a mid card in the beginning.
She's also been world champ before. So I think she makes the most sense to get the belt now from Zelina Vega and give it a little bit of a elevation into like the mid to upper card.
Well, I had two names.
Yeah.
One I think you're gonna agree on. The first one was obviously Naomi. If she's gonna have, if Jade Cargill gets a chance, and you might as well also throw Naomi's name in there because I think this is the best version. You know what? I would like to see her also in the title run.
Yeah, for the World WWE title.
Because I think she's the best heel right now in the women's division. But I also think I could also see a good push for Candice LeRae. Mm-hmm. I thought what she was doing with Nia Jax and Tiffany, that was kind of a it was a good. I liked her.
It was a good introduction to her to the main to like the main event scene. I think Naomi said something like her time is almost up in WWE because she wants to start a family at some point. And I don't know if maybe the WWE title might be next or the US champ. One of the titles is gonna be she's gonna have a single title.
Yeah.
For the Street Profits, that TLC match was insane, right?
It was a great fucking. Like, you know what? The match makes you think. What were they thinking of not putting that match on WrestleMania?
I think they won't lose it to DIY. Or MCM, Motor Machine Guns, so yes. MCMG, that's what you'd call them, because they beat them in that match. So I think there's going to be a new tag team champions that take it away from them, and that would probably be Pretty Deadly because they've been hanging around for a while. And I think when Pretty Deadly came up to the main roster from NXT, there's a lot of hype around them, and a lot of people saying, hey, these guys are going to be a problem on the main, or they're going to be exciting to watch on the main roster. And they've had their time. It hasn't been consistent enough, and I think they will end up eventually being built up and become the team that beats them somehow.
I agree, but I had another, I just thought about this one, but this is gonna be if they really hate the guy. If they really hate Mello, they'd make Mello and the Miz tag team champions, and just just screw him over like that. Because they've been trying to show that Miz and Mello are buddy.
Yeah.
And a great way to maybe push Miz would be, Mello to be a storyline would be to him and Miz win the tag team titles.
Yeah.
And then they lose, and then Mello turns his back on the Miz, and then Mello goes on his solo career.
I could also see somebody like Dexter Loomis and what's his name, Joe Gacy winning. The wide six to make them look a little more dangerous too, or something like that.
That's not a bad.
Let's give them the titles because they're gonna have a lot of eyes on them if they ever show up on SmackDown.
What happened to the days when randomly the two big stars would randomly become champs? Like
those days, why? I don't like those days that much because that kind of diminished the tag team division.
You think so?
It became all about the superstars.
But it was fun when it would be like Undertaker and Stone Cold held the titles at the same time, but they're beefing each other.
Or when Triple H and Austin held the titles and they took on the Brothers of Destruction. Yeah,
Brothers of Destruction. Or even when remember, for probably the younger audience, when Shawn Michaels and John Cena were tag team champions. Yeah. Those it's fun times. Even if they hold it for like a month, it'd be fun times.
That's true. On the Monday Night Raw side, we got the Yeet Man as world champ, Jey Uso. I think there's one man who's going to end up beating him, and they're building it up already. I think it's Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah, that's obvious.
It makes so much sense. Right? Because he's you need to get that faction world title at some point. And I think he's the one who's going to take it from Jey Uso. Yeah. So. But I think Gunther... I don't know what they're going to do with Gunther. I think he's going to have a title shot or something like that. Maybe he does get moved to SmackDown, like you're saying.
I think it makes more sense if he gets moved to SmackDown.
SmackDown maybe becomes a challenger for the WWE title at some point. Maybe he has new rivalries for a bit as a non-title wrestler for a bit. Yeah. I think what happens is Seth Rollins ends up beating
Jey Uso
at SummerSlam.
Oh, okay. Do you think that's what happens?
That's where he drops.
You know what? That makes sense then, because then Braun Breaker's probably going to go after Seth Rollins at some point. Yeah. So Braun Breaker's the only other guy I could think of is the best way to propel his career is to have Seth win and then him to beat Seth.
Right. Maybe or Sami Zayn ends up actually getting his world title dream. Because this could be like Triple H had that reign of terror, right? And if this is supposed to be like the Evolution 2.0, the Revolution, if this is supposed to be one of those running it back, Triple H had that reign of terror for like 2-3 years where every WrestleMania outside of WrestleMania 19, WrestleMania 20 and 21, he built somebody else to become the new star, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else gets a WrestleMania moment because of him. And maybe that's what they're going to do, give Sami Zayn a short title run like they did with Jey Uso. And then Seth Rollins wins it back, and then eventually Braun Breaker turns his back and ends up beating
him by WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, wherever 43
that's
44.
That's not a bad play. Give Sammy. We might as well give Sammy his one dream.
Yeah, his one moment.
Yeah, and people love Sammy. Io Sky Strade. I think there's only one person in my mind that's gonna beat her. That's Rhea Ripley. The only other person I could think of maybe is Liv Morgan.
Yeah,
because she also deserves a push.
Right.
But I think those are the only two options that you could give to beat Io Sky, especially if you're building Io Sky to be a star. Mm-hmm. You can't have her lose to anybody else. You can't have her lose to Bayley. You can't have her lose to Hogan Lynch. You can't have her lose to any of these other people. You have two the top women's on Raw. That's Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those because I think if anybody else comes and beats her, it makes no sense. It has to be somebody who's at the same level or like below, and they have an underdog win. But I don't think any underdog would actually beat her.
Yeah,
I think Rhea Ripley is the one you have like underdog because you're still trying to establish Io Sky as like the top end of World Heavyweight Champ, and then I think maybe like whenever that happens, you let Rhea Ripley beat her, and then the next person to beat Rhea Ripley is like the next star on Monday Night Raw, because they have called up like a lot of people, like Julia is getting called up, Stephanie Vicar is probably getting called up, Roxanne Perez, all these young wrestlers are getting called up.
Yeah,
they're probably gonna get a shot at some point for 100%. The world title, and the world title, and those could be the people who end up beating Rhea Ripley down the line.
I agree. You know, if you're gonna push a star, you might as well have her beat Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Not Io Sky.
Yeah.
Well, next we'll talk about the Intercontinental Championships. I have two people personally. I think either Ludwig Kaiser or Karrion Kross should win because you know, especially Karrion Kross since he cut that promo, and I think he would be perfect if he somehow he starts playing in Finn Balor's ear and makes him turn against the Judgment Day, and he somehow involves himself in a triple threat match. He pins them two against each other. He ends up stealing the belt and walking out. I think that'd be a great storyline for him. And because you know what, he got this killer promo. You might as well give him the push. People are on behind him. You see signs every week, you know, push Cross. Yeah. You might as well push Karrion now. Ludwig Kaiser, I think kind of speaks for himself. He looks like the perfect heel. He does. Like the perfect guy.
He looks like such a villain.
And I think it'd be a perfect time to maybe prop him up more. Right. Because if you like, he could be you know, in my eyes, I could see him kind of be like a JBL kind of character, right? Where like he's just the ultimate prick, ultimate heel, and you can just put him against any babyface, and it'll be a great match because he'll just be antagonistic. He'll do all the things. He's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but he's kind of dirtier than Gunther in some ways, right? Like he's a kind of a menace, more of a menace.
They've separated him from Gunther too recently. I feel like they haven't been on screen as much, those two. Yeah. So I think he should get a singles title run at some point. But I think people have been waiting for 2 years. The guy, but I think the obvious answer right now, it's got to be Braun Breaker, especially with Seth Rollins. If we're thinking Seth Rollins wins the world title, Braun Breaker's gonna have to go for the Intercontinental title then, and I think him losing it can't just be the end of the storyline. I think he gets built back up, keeps it again, and then loses it to somebody else, like the people you mentioned, Ludwig Kaiser or somebody like that. And then he eventually gets his world heavyweight title shot down the line.
So you're saying he's the Randy Orton in this situation?
It seems like it. I don't think he's going to be a tag team champ with like anybody else.
So he can't be the Batista in this situation, bro?
I mean, he is. He's built like Batista, but he's kind of like the Randy Orton, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
The next big thing.
Yeah, that's true.
The women's Intercontinental title is interesting because I don't know. I feel like this title change is going to happen sooner than later. And I think it's going to be Becky Lynch.
Yeah, here we go again.
It's going to be Becky Lynch, man, because I think Becky Lynch is going to win the title. They're going to elevate this title into like a veterans, like because with the veteran wrestlers, I think Becky Lynch and Bayley are going to have a bunch of matches maybe in the summer.
Oh, where not bad. Yeah.
Where they do, you know, one person wins it and then maybe they lose it back and forth or something like that. I think they're going to elevate this title and give it a little bit of a shine because the Intercontinental title is just like a working championship. So for the men it's working
title. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Lyra Valkyria, even though she is a great in-ring performer, she hasn't had that chance to like show it off, right?
100%. I
think Becky Lynch and Bayley are going to elevate the title, maybe have a bunch of triple threat matches, and then eventually it'll go back to somebody else who's young and up and coming. Like we mentioned, you know, Roxanne Perez could win it. Yeah. Julia, or even Stephanie Vicar, she could win it too. You know who I'd like to see beat the New Day? The Creed brothers. Because I think the Creed brothers have been on the main roster for so long, and I'm just waiting for them to get the tag team title shots. They're good in-ring talent. Yeah. They should get that push at some point, and I think if they, the only problem is that they're heels and the New Day's heel as well. But I feel like maybe a face turn at some point eventually. Maybe we get them to be like the Grande Americanos tag team underneath them. They become luchadors too.
Yeah, maybe they do. The other team I've been pushing a lot on this channel is Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
Eitan Down Under.
You know, I like these two. Once again, this is the problem. They're both the heels. Yeah. So like it's kind of hard. And you know, the other one I was thinking it was based on your idea of to bring in two people into the, I guess you call it revolution, is to make it. He just went recently heel. Trick Williams and Mello. You bring both of them in. You go against. You take the titles from New Days. And there you go. Now you got a new stable, pretty solid stable in my opinion.
Razor, you talked about elevating the tag team titles to, you know, the top of the main event scene, right? And right now we got one tag team, in the women's division with Liv Morgan and Raquel. Yeah. Who they've been champions for a while. They won the championship for the fourth time at WrestleMania. They've dropped the belts. They burned back. They dropped the belts. They keep doing that, right? Yeah. I think the tag team that could elevate it would be a makeshift tag team between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky.
That'd be a great thing. You know, you talked about. We were talking about how back in the day, you know, it would be John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and be like, you know, like Stone Cold, Undertaker, and they would have beef, and they would hold the title, which would cause more controversy between them because, you know, they're not trying to help each other. Yeah. They're rivals. Mm-hmm. So it'd be a great way, and you're 100% right. It would push the division higher because now your two top stars are on it, and you could push a newer, younger group like Roxanne and Julia. And, you know, because that'd be perfect two people to beat
Yeah, because they have a feud going on right now too
100%.
with those two. So it will make a lot of sense for them to have like this tag team match. Eventually, drop the belts to those two, and maybe they have a tag team run. The problem with the WWE Women's Division right now, I feel like there's not enough tag teams that are established.
100%.
They really haven't taken the time to build tag teams at all. They got rid of the NXT titles, and now NXT they don't really have any tag team divisions. Those are our picks for the next WWE champs. Let us know who you think should win next in the comment section below. Give this video a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.